Good evening from here. Use the comment section. Is it locked? I'm sure the comment section is not locked. Okay. Maybe you don't need my gift. So, good evening, everyone. Happy to see you on this faithful Thursday. We are looking at a very important aspect today, which is raising money for your startup, raising capital for your startup. I consider this topic a very important one because of the great role that money plays in our businesses. Let me make sure that others join us before I bring our guest tonight. Whoa. Is the comment section locked? Let me know if I will go back to my settings. Is it locked? Let me sort this before I bring our guest. So why are you guys not scaring me now? Come on. Uh-huh. Okay, so who were those first two persons that came online tonight? Who were those first two persons? Don't lie, you. There were two persons that were here immediately I came online. I know it's not Moses, it's not Prince. Good evening, Mabong. Nice to see you. Okay, this person. Who is the second person? Five C's TV. Five C's TV. Okay, you are the first person. Who is the second person? Mabong, are you sure? Two of you after the class. Good evening, Jomav Homes and Properties. After the class, send me a DM today. Let's see whether there is any way we can compensate you. Onyekachi, my friend from Lagos, well done. No, Prince, you're not part of them. Go and sleep. All right, let's go straight. I don't add someone that could support us at time A or B. Right? So that's why I decided to bring this person. Unfortunately, I cannot force everybody to say, come. I can't put anybody this thing on truth. So, as many people that are coming and joining, some are coming to see, they will come and see, they will go. It's their choice, but this learning that we are in here is important. I discovered something recently, and I found out that the reason why so many people are not succeeding is not because they are not learning. It's because they don't have what I call structured learning. And I think I'll use that as we wrap up today. Let me go ahead and invite our guest to join this live now. All right, I've just messaged our guest and he is going to send me a request right away for me to accept him into this live session. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Joshua Joseph. He's someone that started inspiring me quite a long time ago, and it's been important that I had to drag him. It's not easy for me to have brought him here. That's why we were supposed to have this class last Thursday, but because of his unavailability, we had to cancel it. David Wanyisemeka from Owerri, nice to see you. There are names that have become recurring on my face, name like 5C's, right? I've seen that 5C's TV. I've seen that name over and over again. I've seen um, I've seen Prince too, but Prince wanted to be play smart tonight. But my God, Pastor, I've seen Prince very well. I'm watching very well, so I know um, those that are worthy of reward when the time comes. Onyekachi testimony, you have also been very, very consistent. Lotachi, yes, Lotachi, I've seen you very much. Prince Mawuli from Ghana. Okay, I think I've taken notice of your name. All of you, aside from learning, goodies will come to you very soon. So I've sent. Land hostess is here. Since she came late this night. Priska, yes. Prisiezala. Your name is your name is very common. I've seen you here over and over again. Land hostess, I've seen you. You also go ahead to invite other people. Oh, Pauline, my friend from Akure. This is your first time. Welcome. I'm waiting for our. Good evening, my leader. When you are ready, just tell me.
Good evening, sir. Good to
Somebody, please go to that comment section. Make some noise in the comment section. Well, because we are just introduced the king. So make some noise for me. Okay, past 10.
ahead of
Okay, 1 hour
Nigeria.
ahead
Yes.
of us.
Yeah.
All right. So again, I want to say thank you for agreeing to do this. And we so much apologize for the stress and inconvenience. In school, you were a year ahead of me in college. You
Yeah.
were among those that inspired us. You were a student politician. You still graduated with a very high grade.
Yes. So
You
also a student
started
student evangelist. I was also
as a student, exactly. You started your business, and you will have to tell us those stuff tonight. Whether
yeah.
you started after school or when you were in school, you were soaring and soaring and soaring and soaring that some of us thought that we were playing with our lives. Because most times when we start having conversations, then we'll not be like, "Don't you see Joshua Joseph? Look at what Joshua Joseph is doing."
He's doing.
At a point, at a point in Akwa Ibom State, there was a time you had something to do with the legislative arm. Am I correct?
Yes, I was involved. I had a program with legislature for like 1 year. Yeah. So I
Exactly.
worked closely with the honorable members.
So I want tonight. This is not just a class for entrepreneurs. We like it real and raw,
Yeah.
like I told you. So I will be interrupting you once in a while to ask you questions that I think will bring out some of those tangible things that I know is inside of you that no matter the presentation, you may not bring it out. So,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, make welcome to my friend, my leader, my brother, Mr. Joshua Joseph, who will be taking us tonight on some proven strategies on how you can raise money for your startup. You are welcome, sir. The floor is
Yeah.
yours now.
Thank you. Thank you thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm shocked that you remember a lot of things about me that even it's not even in my profile. I didn't mention the legislative
Of course.
program potentials. Those are going to help us attract foreign reserves into our nation are the entrepreneurs, right? With the support of the politicians. So it doesn't undermine the government, but then I would keep emphasizing on the importance of entrepreneurs, right, and what we can do so far. So I want to really appreciate everyone for joining this call, and those that would be connecting with us later on. I also want to appreciate you that no matter how tough it is, it's a tough journey, right? No matter how tough it is, don't lose faith. No matter where you find yourself, keep doing that which you've been um, called to do. So I'll just give a background intro for me, why I did the things I do and why I'm still doing the things I do. It starts with understanding um, my purpose, right? So I define my purpose as being better and being able to help others become better, right? Making a difference and also being different. So anywhere I find myself, I'm like, how can I make myself outstanding? How can I make myself unique? Right? How can I use that particular thing? Because every one of us have something unique inside of us, right? And
Yeah.
how can you use that particular thing to make yourself outstanding? That is the beginning point. And then now that you've found out those things, how can you use that same thing, that God-given talent, that God-given potential, to also make people around you become better, right? And entrepreneurship is a tool to also help you transform these potentials, right? There are different forms of talent. Talent, it doesn't just lie around singing, dancing, right? There are innate potentials that help you even in building your business, right? One of them is interpersonal communication. Our sales coach understand that You cannot be able to sell effectively without good
Yeah.
interpersonal connection and communication, right? This is a talent. Once you're able to identify that that is a part of you, you can develop it and use it to grow your business outstandingly. There's also talent when it comes to communication. Your ability to communicate effectively is a way to also sell your skills, right? I'll be talking about how I raised funding for my business from day zero to when we started generating revenue, right? And a bit of background to myself. I don't know if I've told you before. I lost my mom when I was 8 years, right? So I grew up
Wow.
being trained by my father. I There were days I didn't have to go to school again. Like I had to stay at home, not because I was sick, but because there was no money to go back to school while I was in secondary school. I went to a
Mm.
boarding school, so there were days I slept on the floor. I didn't have a mattress. I slept with carton on the floor. I share the stories when I go
Oh.
to school to speak. I speak to young people and I tell them about my journey. So people, when some people see me, they think maybe I come from a wealthy family,
Yeah,
but
you were
I,
a packaged man now.
because I don't have cash, I converted all my money to recharge. It was a way to build my financial intelligence and also to make money doing business. From recharge card, I moved to selling of starch. So I had a supplier in Port Harcourt, and I had a slogan when I was selling my starch. People used to see me wear starch cloth a lot, and they were like, "Ah, I like it." And I said, energy. I said, starch gives energy, and give your shirt the energy it deserves. So
Oh my
you, when you
God.
buy starch, you give. That was my punchline. I went to classrooms to sell starch. I still remember vividly when I
Are
was
you
selling. I
serious?
supplied to some stores. Yeah, in Eziobodo. I From starch is when I moved down to my palm oil business. So people know about palm oil business. So I showed that there was a journey. I moved from one point to another. I've experienced failures, and I've also had a taste of success. So how did I get to
Hmm.
the point of starting um, my business? And that was in 400 level. I'll tell you the last one funny thing in case before you ask the question. When I was in the same year, I applied for the 30 Million Entrepreneurship Foundation grant. That was my first grant um, for my business. That same year, I wrote the entrepreneurship course in photo. So the entrepreneurship course, I got E. I got E in the entrepreneurship course because I read a lot of books on entrepreneurship, right? So
Yeah.
when I was writing my exams, I wrote more from the books I've read, from the people I've listened to, than from the curriculum.
Oh, wow.
So I remember when they asked what is, I think there was a question about either about either about selling, or I know there was a question, but my answer in that question in the exam was um, sales, sales, sales. That was what I wrote. I was like, I
That means you are confusing your lecturer.
was like, that is like everything about business is sales, right? So for me, when I was writing that exam, I was just sometimes I can go crazy. I was just writing on what I felt was the true reality of entrepreneurship. I was also against the principle of how entrepreneurship was taught in the classroom. So I think that's hunger. I took it to the exam where I was just writing what I knew about entrepreneurship rather than
Mm.
what they were expecting of me to give them in the exam. So I got an E. Even my course advisor, because I was the best in my class, he called me, "How
Yeah.
come you had an E in entrepreneurship?" But the way God would have it, that same year I got an E in entrepreneurship. I was selected among the first 1,000 entrepreneurs across Africa for the 2 million
That
entrepreneurship
was your
program.
first attempt. That was your
Yes,
first
that was my
attempt at
first
applying.
application. Yes.
Wow.
When I told some people to apply me, they were like, "No, it's not possible. Who is going to give?" Right. And anybody that's not serious with their life is going to run away from that question because they don't want to think far. They want to think of
Yeah.
today. But
Mm.
God is a visionary, right? He sees ahead. You should also operate in that. So I asked myself, where do I want to see myself like 10 years from now? Right. And I was like, I started applying to a website they called After School Africa. Right. So even while I was still in school, I was already thinking of what to do after school. And it was through After School Africa that I got a notification about the Student Million Entrepreneurship Program. But most students will not apply for After School Africa because they're like, I'm still in school,
Yeah.
right? But I was
Mm.
already involved in things that people who were graduates were already doing, right? So that is one thing you have to know, be able to plan ahead. And that's how I got to know about
Ahead.
the opportunity. And that was my first business application. I tried when there was a question they asked about what makes wow us. It was a question about what is the wow factor. It was one of the questions. Not now that they have streamlined the questions of 2 million application. There was something about the wow factor. Tell us the wow factor about your business. And I made a statement. I said, I wrote it in pidgin. I said the only difference between akamu and custard is what?
No,
It's like
no.
it's packaging. It's packaging.
Ah, ah.
I told them the only difference between akamu and custard is packaging. One sells in supermarket, while one sells at the roadside. Right?
Ah,
One is more expensive than the other. Both of them are the same. Both of them are
the same
starch.
thing.
Right? It's packaging. I said that is what I want to do to palm oil. I want to be the power oil of palm oil. And that
Hmm.
was my punchline. Right? Oh,
Wow.
they said some people are saying network is frustrating. Oh, sorry about
That's
that.
the that's the that's the bad thing about being a Nigerian. Go
But
ahead,
it,
sir,
it
please.
it also shows that it's a room for those in the IT space to begin to think about solutions that will make
Yeah.
internet seamless, right? Because if you make internet seamless, no matter how maybe low the cost you're charging customers, then there should be a lot of huge value you get because the numbers, like it's a huge market.
Very, very, yeah, very
Is
huge.
a
It's a
huge
huge
market. So
market.
anyone who can solve that problem for Nigeria would really gonna because I remember one of the people I listened to, he says the bigger the problem, the bigger the solution. The bigger the solution, the bigger the value. The bigger the value, the bigger the
You got
money.
the money.
And the bigger the money, the bigger the boy or the girl that solves that problem.
Hmm.
Right? And so when you look for big problems, right, you find big solutions and it comes with big money, and that makes you live big or live large. So I think it's also a room for entrepreneurs in the room where in the IT space to begin to think of, even if it's partnerships, you don't need to do it all alone. You don't need to start from the scratch. It could be an invention somewhere in some country that you can bring that invention to Nigeria and make it much more seamless for people to have seamless internet and even at an affordable cost, right? That's uh, just by the way. So, sir, is there another question you want to ask, or I should move in
Yeah.
to
So
my
now,
presentation?
because I don't want to preempt your presentation because I
Yeah, I
may
know.
not know what is in your presentation. So maybe I will allow you to do your
If
presentation.
if I show you my slides, you will laugh. But I'll post it. My presentation is five pictures.
It's fine. I understand that. Okay, let me
Very
let me
simple.
come in, let me come this way, right?
Yeah.
I applied for Tony Mele for like
Mm.
2 years, or let me say like 3 times. I didn't get it. You got this thing. You applied for this thing when you were in 400 level,
Yes, yes, sir.
and there.
Okay. So that is a good way to usher me into my presentation because
Thank you.
I came, I thought about this and I knew that is one of the major things. I tell people I'm not the smartest in the room.
Mhm.
I'm not the person with the best business ideas. For most of the competitions I've gone and I've won, it doesn't mean I had the best idea, but I'll show you what I had that other people did not have. That's what I'm here to show you today, right? And that is what has set me aside in different um, places at different times and in my journey in business. I would shock you. I'd raised two funding before I launched my product, before I even brought out my real product.
So
I'd
you got
raised
the funding as an idea level.
as an idea level. So I'm the best
Wow.
person to talk to these people you describe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I raised the first funding at idea level. I raised my second funding in Ghana when I went for the Yale program, right? Also at an idea level for what I wanted to do, right? I tell people, I said, sometimes you need to break down. You need to break down your journey. So I told
Mm,
somebody, I said, it's like, no, I've not done anything. I said, you've done something, but you don't know how to link it. So how can you
mm,
make you at an idea level, but when you talk about your business, it looks as if you've done a lot. I'll give you an example. So I'll use myself as an example. I'm not going to use someone else. I wanted to package palm oil. Simple solution. I wanted to package palm oil. I wanted people to be able to trust. When you buy palm oil, there's no name behind it. It's
Yeah,
of recent
yeah,
that people
yeah.
started branding palm oil. Right then, people were not branding palm oil. So there was no name behind palm oil. There was no name you could hold accountable if you buy a bad product. And people were looking for a brand they could trust. So I wanted to build that. Right. But I have been in the value chain. How have I been in the value chain? After I lost my mom, I was still in secondary school. My secondary school was close to my village, right? So after school, I still go back to my maternal village. And when I go back to my maternal village, I go to the oil palm mill with my auntie and I see how
Mm.
they process palm oil, right? So
Wow.
I still had an idea, but when I talk about this idea, I have done something. And what have I done? I've been able to understand how palm oil is being processed by the
How
local
it's
people,
being processed.
right? So I didn't pay to do that. I just got involved to do that, right? So you might have an idea about something. You don't have the money to start, does not mean you should fold your hand. You
Mm-hmm.
can take an internship with a company that's doing something related to what you're doing to understand. Or you can even carry out a research online that is still counting towards what you're doing towards your business, right? You don't undermine those things you're doing, right? I had not started my business, but I think I traveled to Benin to research about new processing technologies that could be used for, not with the name as an entrepreneur,
So
but I've been
the
building the
problem that sometimes
potential.
some of us
Those
we
things, yeah.
commonize what we have done.
Yes, yes. I see
Oh
that a
my
lot.
God.
And that's what I do in my program. I call it my personal partnership program. I work with people to fine tune. And maybe I also didn't mention, I maybe just on a highlight, I've got different types of funding. So I came to Sweden on scholarship, right? So I even got access to scholarship for a side business fund. And it's all about how you talk about what you've done. So on my journey, I went to schools then to talk about career, about purpose, and all that. And I built a team. So as a young boy back in secondary school, I was able to convince 5 other people to follow me. And that's what entrepreneurship is about, to build a team. So I talked about that story of how I was able to lead young people to start a movement. We called it Daglitas then, DAGLITAZ. It means diligence accelerates goals and leads integrity together with accuracy and zeal. That was the slogan, Daglitas. And I started that while I was still in secondary school. And I made all of my classmates to believe in that vision. We started going to secondary schools to talk to people about purpose, about career, and all that. So I shared that was not entrepreneurship in quotes, but I shared that I've been able to build a team and I've been able to help people believe in a vision that I had. And that is the same thing I'm going to do as an entrepreneur. If I get this funding, I'm going to build a team that will believe in this vision and help it to be successful.
Mm.
So I took my experiences, right, to to um, to create a story that was
So
appealing.
lesson number
So
one
most people,
here
when they
is
apply, they don't create a story.
exactly the lesson number one here is that start picking the pieces of your experiences, irrespective of how small they are. Start
Yeah.
bringing a formative journey to all of them to form a
Yes.
story that somebody can see tomorrow and believe in.
Yes. Since they're your community, take a pen and a paper, write 1 to 50 experiences you've had that led you to where you are today, right? 1 to 50 experiences. If you have 20, good. If you have
That's like
10,
an
and then
assignment.
post
I'm
it in the
taking it
group.
down and
Yes,
I'm
you
going to
should do
give
it.
them.
Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah.
Write to 50 experiences. So it could be like for me, an experience could be one of the experience I had, the beginning of my experience with the entrepreneurship journey, I didn't mention that was that my dad is a civil servant. And so he worked for Nitel. And at some point they sold Nitel. And that was how I was sharing about how I didn't have money to go back to school. For years, they were not paid. Nitel staffs were not paid. And I was one of the children of Nitel staff. right? And I was in the bathroom that day, and I told myself I would never work for the government because of that experience, right? I said I would never work for the government. I would only work with the government as a consultant or as someone being part of creating a solution. But me being a civil servant, no, I'm not going to do that because I saw the government, right? I will not be a civil servant. Even the way the name sounds, civil servant. How can somebody choose to be a servant, right?
Hmm.
In a civil way, civil
Oh my
society,
God.
what the base. Even the name is degrading, right? So sometimes some things are deep to me,
I've
right?
never
So
thought of it like this.
I decided that right from when I was a small child. So that was part of my journey. That's an example of picking point. Then the point where I also lost my mom. I grew up with a very strict dad, right? And because my dad was strict, it was difficult for me to ask him for anything. So sometimes I go to his door to ask for money to barb my hair, and I'm very scared. So I'll just
Wow.
leave. So I learned very early because I can't ask my dad. I have to look for a way to make it. So I started fending for myself early because I had a very strict dad, right? That was part of the piece that made me who I am today, right? So at the point I lost mom, another part of the piece is those other businesses I did, those challenges I faced. I was being laughed at school, right? When I was in school, people made a lot of fun for me. I didn't have soap to bath. I'll have to ask my friend, please, can you rub me small soap on my head? I can use that soap on my head to now bath my whole body. It was
That was
that
in
tough.
school.
Yes, while I was in school, I go to school with just maybe one soap and one tissue paper. So I went back to boarding school.
Wow. Okay, so there are two foundational things that you have listed here,
Yeah,
right? One is document your process. The second thing I can get here is learn to tell story. Find a way of
true.
connecting all the
Connecting
dots in your life
those dots. Yeah.
into what wherever you find yourself at any moment.
Mhm.
And anybody, even somebody that is in photography, can have a story that is compelling.
True.
Somebody that is into agriculture can have a story that is somebody that's into anything can have a story that is compelling. But now let me ask you, there are different ways that an
Mhm.
entrepreneur can raise money.
Okay.
Why didn't you start thinking of bootstrapping?
Mm.
Why didn't you start thinking of maybe equity funders, venture
Mm.
capitalists? Why didn't you start thinking of calling one of your uncles?
Mm.
Or why did you choose to go the way of pitching, getting
Yeah.
free equity funding? Because now that you are mentioning it, that you've even gotten to funding before Tony Elumelu. I also know
Yeah.
that a few years ago, I also got to know the next Titan through you. We have not even come to that story, right? I also got
Yeah.
to know Yali through you. I'm also a Yali alumni. In
Oh,
my
wow,
final
great.
year, I got an invitation. So it was through that process. So, but I don't want to bug you with some of those things.
Mm.
At what point did you decide, and maybe why did you finally decide that, okay, I'm going to go for this part of securing funding? And
Securing
is
funding.
that
Yeah.
actually the best strategy, the
Uh,
best type?
mm.
Or maybe you can also throw more light on the other ways that people can get funding for their business and why you have chosen this one.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for creating a path for this conversation. I was interested in not just making profit in my business. I was interested in creating social change, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
that connected me to the kind of organizations I started being involved in. So I was involved in Road Track Club. I was involved in
So sorry, I'm
um,
going to cut you short. Sorry. I want people to pick these things one by one, because one is that you are not interested in just making profit.
profit. Yeah.
You were interested in building, what do you call it
In
again?
creating
Social
social
impact,
change. Yeah, social
creating
impact.
social change or social impact. And that pushed it. Guys, I hope you are listening to this. In our last class, I told, don't worry, let me not repeat that. Please go ahead. So I wanted them to hear that
Yeah,
as an entrepreneur, you should stop thinking just about your belly. Otherwise, you
yeah,
won't go far.
true,
Go ahead, sir.
true. But there are some aggressive entrepreneurs also. Those ones, they
Yeah.
don't care about social impact. They,
Yeah, I know,
uh,
I know, I know.
they care about profit. They call them. They want to make mega profit at all costs.
Yeah. They
Right.
are
But
capitalists.
I wouldn't desire anybody to take that part. Um, right? Because most times that part does not come with fulfillment. So you see people make a lot of money and then there's no fulfillment, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm a Christian and I believe I was created by God and I believe God lives in me. And so for me to be able to feel fulfilled, I have to work according to his desires and his plan, right? And that is one key thing even as an entrepreneur. When resources comes to your hands, they come for a reason, for a purpose. And
Yeah.
I feel it's also important to also make this world a better place and to help as many people as possible and not just yourself, right? So that is one defining factor. So I would always advocate people to choose the path that has to do with both profitability and social
And social impact.
transformation. So now, how businesses must not follow the same path that I follow, right? So different business ideas, different entrepreneurs have different paths, right? And in my presentation, one of the things I mentioned is what do you think about MMM, right? How many people remember MMM? So do you remember MMM?
Yeah, yeah. They scam me now.
You did not make money. They took your money or you made money from them. Which
I made money. They took something that is more than the one I made.
okay, so when I talk about MMM, I ask people in MMM, what do you remember? Is it Ponzi or principle? So for me, I took principle from MMM, right? Instead of focusing on the Ponzi panel, I took the principle from MMM. And what I call MMM is I like to use mnemonics. If you remember, when I talked about Daglitas, I explained what Daglitas is. Even Josalt means Jesus our Savior, JOS. Then ULT means ultimate. When I used to organize programs in school, then I call it. Um, I used to talk about Jesus, and Jesus stands for joining the extraordinary source for ultimate success. I like mnemonics a lot because it helps me build a strong connection, a deep meaning to a particular word.
What you are doing.
And yeah, and so for MMM, I define a deep meaning to it. The first M stands for market. The second M stands for model. That they don't even understand their market and the model, and they meet the wrong set of people. So if people that are supposed to be funded by venture capitalists are big and they're looking at these people set up their fund to raise profit,
Yeah.
right? So if you go there and just you're talking about social impact, you're just joking. It doesn't mean you cannot make social impact, but you have to
I
show them
think
the
the
numbers.
more profitable a business is, the more social impact you can make as well.
Yes, if you decide to.
If you
But
decide to, yeah,
if the
because you can
founders do
decide
not
to
have that
blow
in
off
their
your profit.
yeah. So if you want to work on that assumption, the founders might not end up uh, looking at the social impact. Yeah, they might just give very minute amount of their income to that. So it's always good to define it at the beginning if your business want to look at it this way and all that. That's why sometimes we have businesses that the founders were kicked out of the company because the founders, when they were raising funding, they did not match the values of the funders with their own value. So at some point, they want to make a decision and they're looking at it from I think we should do it this way because it's also going to make impact. And the founder said, no, we don't have time. We need to do it this way because we want to make profit, huge profit very soon because we want to move to the next business. These guys, they fund
Mm-hmm.
your business, they get profit, they fund another business. So they are not in the business of waiting for you to waste a lot of time, right? So if it becomes so bad, they have to kick out the founder and bring in a new CEO who can drive them to profitability, right? So you must understand this before you begin to attract funding to your business, right? So what is actually what do I mean about the market? So first of all, you have an idea. This idea you have you done market research about it? Which market do you want to target? Is it the bottom of the pyramid? Is it the low income earners? Is it the premium market? Right? Is it just Nigeria? Is it Africa? Or is it the world at large? There are some venture capitalists that only fund businesses that can scale across the globe
The
and that can
world, yeah.
scale very fast. Right? So if your business cannot scale across the globe and cannot scale fast, there's no point going to set up a meeting with them. You're just going to waste your time. They might not even come to me. They might not reply your email. Right? Now, the same
So
thing
sorry,
when it
let me
comes.
ask you this way. Do you think that, for instance, I
Yeah,
get. I wouldn't allow you to miss that thought on the models, the market and the model.
to attract funding. And I'm going to share a story of one that makes hair. She makes hair, and I said, I want to change your model. So she's just making hair, just hairdresser. And I said, this will not attract funding. You can't just say, I want to get money to set up a salon to make hair, right? We're going to redefine your model. So how did I redefine the model? I said, look at what you're going to do. We're going to change your model. So for you, you're going to build an online platform where people can see the different hairstyle and how long it takes to make them, how many
Mm.
hours it takes to make the hairstyle, right? And based on that, because we are targeting premium market, these women don't have time to waste. These women have series of meetings. They should be able to say, okay, I can make my hair between this time to this time. And that was our market we're targeting. So I defined the market, premium women in Abuja,
And then created them. Oh,
and I created
okay.
a model that because of these women are very busy, we need to be able to show them the different hairstyle. They don't have time to think of different hairstyle. So let them be able to decide maybe from their own how much it will cost and how much time it will take. And then they can book online. So they can book their time slots, maybe from 1 to 4 o'clock, right?
Mm.
This model I just defined, you can build a system that you can apply to all salons. So now you're not just building for your own salon.
Yeah.
A different salon it can be a booking platform for salons. So it's scalable. This idea I just told you now, I'm giving you an example. It's scalable. So this is me taking someone is making an estate and blowing her mind. And I said, look at it. Because of who is going to fund this business, now I've touched feasibility, scalability. I want to bring in social impact into your business. We're going to create a training program for single mothers to help them develop skills around beauty industry. So part of our funding, part of our profit, 5% of our profit, we're going to put it back into training these sort of people to giving them a life, right? We're also going to use that to empower them to be able to create hair care products from our natural, um, from things we can find in Nigeria to from palm oil. I mean, palm oil, so I always advocate for palm oil. They said, no, but you need to get this knowledge. Is it that you go find the knowledge yourself or you pay to get the
Or you pay
knowledge,
for it.
right? One of them is faster. If you pay for it, it's faster because you're not going to spend how many years? We started back then when we were in secondary school. Oh, so we had time, right? But now maybe
Mm.
you're already 40. You don't have those time to go and waste time doing a lot of research. You just need to pay and get that value and go apply it and scale. So that's an example of how your model
Hmm.
can fine tune and help you attract funding, right? That's that
All right.
that's a that's an example of how that works. So you can decide, do I want to start building? So why me? You asked the question around why did I choose this path? Why did I
Yeah.
choose building with grant funding? Not everybody. So like as that time, the international market to an extent did not really understand, will not really understand the impact of the oil palm industry, number one. Right. Number two, I was also very focused in helping the farmers, right? Rather than thinking of
Mm.
profit. So my a lot of I didn't have like a clear profitability pathway, but I had a clear insight on how I wanted to help farmers. So I knew people that were going to help me at this point of my business was um, organizations who want to give back to society, who want to improve the lives of local farmers, who want to improve the lives of people in developing countries. So I started to appeal to such organization, and that's how um,
So
I
now,
attracted
sorry.
funding. When I went to Next Items, I
No.
wasn't talking about social impact.
Yeah. Knowing your business, knowing your market, will also help you know where the money that flows into that market comes from,
True. And you position
right?
your business to be able
And you
to attract
position
that.
your business to attract that funding there. A lot of people have this mindset that nobody send you. The money no they come. In fact, not that the money no they come. the money no dey anywhere,
When people are
right?
getting $1 million.
Thank you. So
Before I left, my mentor assessed about was it $300,000 for? So they are.
so I want you to help this night. What you're sharing is quite incredible. With what happens in the Titan, next Titan, that means theft is a child's play. And especially from the time that you won it. The next Titan is 10 million. I wish
As at that
I'm
time,
in a
as
as
at
at
that
that
time,
time, yes.
it has increased
It
now.
has
So
increased now. I wish I'm in
now I
a
think they're talking
studio
about.
where I can just lift up that your video and play it. And we look at it how you did that day after you got that 10 million. And that was quite a rigorous process. I have applied for the next Titan. When I went for the audition in Port Harcourt, I was just standing there. Immediately I spoke. The man said, Oga,
I think there's a network issue. It says, Guru, can you hear me? Yeah, for people to pay as you go, right? Or some will give you a free service. That is still part of the model. Would give you a free 1 month, and then the next month they begin to charge you, right? That is a way of attracting people to come on board. So it's also a model. So, but you can look clearly at your own model. How does it work? Do you have a predefined model? And which businesses support this model? Another key thing I want to also share is what I call you also have to understand that any funding pathway you want to go through, it's good to talk to someone who has gone through that pathway of funding, right? Some of them are faster. So grant funding might take a lot of time because grant applications sometimes also, so you need to have the patience. They have like stages of application and all of that, even attracting from equity funding. So some of you, the easiest pathway might be to pitch that idea, first of all, to your pitch it first of all to maybe people in your closest circle, right?